So thank you for the incredibly positive response on my last video. I truly couldn't have expected anything from what happened last video. I really thought that it was just like a drop in the bucket of the sea of YouTube videos, but people found it and people liked it, and everyone who commented, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know how to react to it really. So thank you for the support, and for those who are following, I'm hoping to make videos every Wednesday and comes out like but at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every video will be scheduled, because if I don't schedule it, it will not come out. So it's kind of like expect a video at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or a video didn't come out. That's like gonna be my rule, to give myself like the mandatory make video or don't post that week, you know? So thank you so much. And yeah, so let's get into the rest of this video. First, let me also explain another thing, which I had already recorded audio for this video around 2 or 3 days ago, and I was hem-hawing between using it because it very frankly was just like there was so much background sounds everywhere. I recorded it in my bedroom, and at this point I've realized that is a mistake. So now I am recording in my closet, as everyone does. I am in the closet once again. So I wanted to go through my tumultuous trial of Misfit Market. And I just need to put out there that I didn't intend to make a video about Misfit Market, as sometimes people don't intend to be like, oh, I hate this thing so much. And so I am going to talk about that. But then, you know what? I thought I don't want to be known as someone who hates things, so I will tell you a thing I do very much enjoy as well, and like maybe some issues I also have with it, but the good far out supersedes the bad. So stay tuned for a good thing. First off, with Misfit Market, I originally wanted to do this market, like get imperfect fruits and vegetables from Misfit, because I thought it would be really good, because I love vegetables and fruits, and if they're gonna go to waste anyways, I'd rather be the person who eats them, you know? I originally intended to have Misfit fill in the gaps of like the produce that we get, because look here, fruits and vegetables be expensive, okay? They're like, it's not cheap oftentimes really to get a big plethora of fruits and vegetables, especially if like for example, we know what to do with the fruits and vegetables. We'll just, if we don't know what to do and they're getting a little old, we just make them into soup. And that normally works. Or this really cool thing that I'm not saying we invented this, but it's basically hot salad. Where we just like put everything into like a frying pan, and not frying pan, but we like kind of in like a pot still, but like we kind of fry it-ish, and it's not a lot of water. So it's kind of like soup, but it's like cooked a little bit for the vegetables that it's cooked for the vegetables that need to be cooked. It's like less cooked for like greens, for example. And so for example, we would put like the tomatoes last so that they still have like that fresh tomato taste. And in that case, we called it hot salad because it's basically a salad that's warm. Either way though, we like using vegetables and we like eating fruits. So we were like, all right, this is a good idea. So I ordered my first package. We got like a lot of stuff. Basically, we're like, if we could replace groceries with this, it would be amazing. Or even just make it so that our grocery run is less, but then this still makes an impactful difference for our groceries. Then we thought, okay, this would be a good idea. So when we got our first package, which I did not intend, I will probably put the footage here, but I didn't actually intend to have the, like, I didn't intend for me to make a video from this footage. Really, the reason I took it was because my husband was in class, and I was like, oh man, I want him to see like the first look of the groceries essentially that we got through the mail. And first issue immediately put on the spot here is the idea that we ended up having a lot of items that were not good, that were broken, or that were squished. But it wasn't like, oh, it's not good because they're imperfect. It was more like they packaged it so haphazardly that it ended up pretty much making some of the items inside uneatable, like unedible. So, for example, I took video of me first opening the egg carton. And in the egg carton, the first one had around 6 eggs that were entirely broken. I was like, okay, that's a not good. And the other 2 boxes, because we got 3 boxes of eggs, were subsequently also, like, they had broken eggs in it too. It ended up being like half of the eggs that we bought were broken. And I was like, oh, that's not good. Now, thankfully, I just said, hey, half of the eggs are broken, so give me a refund because we can't eat broken eggs. And they did give me a refund for that. And then another, because how haphazardly they throw things into the packaging, one of the like goofy purchases we got, which was chips, was entirely broken as well. Like the chips were like all over the place, and I definitely feel like if it wasn't that they stuffed all of the produce and vegetables and stuff like kind of into a box, regardless of whether they get squished, and just threw them in there with no like I'm not expecting like plastic containers, that would be dumb, but like even just like paper packaging, just like in between all of the items, so that if something breaks or if something gets squished, it doesn't immediately ruin all the rest of the items in the vicinity. That would have been liked. And they did not do that. They did not do that for any box, by the way. And all of the boxes that we've gotten, it was just scattered in there. And I understand that to an extent. It's like, oh, these are foods that would have been thrown away, but don't make it so that I have to throw them away, because then that defeats the purpose. So I was like, okay, we'll just not buy eggs, and we'll just like refund anything that gets broken. And that was like our first box. So then we go and do our next box. And the next box also had an issue in which only 2 of the 3 boxes came in, like actually got in. Or actually that was the box after, that was like the shipment after my next one. Actually, that was like the 3rd shipment. The 2nd shipment actually had just like, we put in things in the cart, right? It will say whether or not something is in stock or not. We put in the amount that we wanted that was in stock, for example, and I guess they just didn't have it in stock, so then they didn't give it to us. They gave us a refund or didn't charge us for that item, for the items, but it was like, so we bought things that we would normally use on Misfit, and then we end up not getting those things, so then we had to go to a grocery store anyways to get these items that we thought we were going to get from the box. So essentially we ended up just being like, okay, we'll just do the next box, which the next box is the box like that had 3 boxes that were supposed to come, and the 2nd box just didn't. And this was once again one of those things where it's like we were hoping that the things that were coming were going to be here. And this time, a big issue with why I stopped using Misfit Market became really apparent. And that was that they used this packaging service called Viho. And I just have to say that if you're going to make a package service, right, almost mandatory, right? But then I live in an apartment, you know? So my apartment complex uses Fetch to deliver packages. So I now have to get a package that is going to be sent from a different mailing service sent to Fetch. And on their website, it says, hey, like, we do deliver directly to apartments, so you don't need to put it through like a PO box or through, for example, Fetch. But I didn't really trust that, so I did actually just put every box to come through Fetch. And I didn't really have that much of an issue other than, you know, this time when it basically was like, the second box is just not coming. And so then I was like, that's interesting. Why isn't it coming to, like, why am I not getting the box? And during this point, I thought there was something weird because on the box it said, like, on the VO, like, app, it said, like, void for the address or something like that. So I was like, oh, that's really weird. And I was like, hey, like, going through the customer service being like, hey, VO, where's my package? And essentially they were like, oh, we forgot your package. And so because of that, we'll send it in tomorrow. Now, here's another thing about it. It's produce, it's food, it's like things that perish. So even though Misfit was like, oh man, like, which I'll say a little later, but they're like, oh man, like, we put it in a special packaging so that it lasts to the time that it gets to you. It's like, if it doesn't get to you within that day, or maybe the next day, it's like, okay, like, I don't even want it anymore because most of the things in there will have perished. So then riddle me how I go to VO. They're like, oh, actually, we're gonna send it in tomorrow, possibly, or at some point. We don't really know. And I'm like, okay, that is bad. So let me go to Misfit and say that the box is missing. And because it is missing, I did not get that box, and the other two did come. So then I went to Misfit. I'm like, this box is missing. They're like, oh man, well, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to actually wait another 2 days before we can mark it as missing. And so I was like, why? And by the way, I say 2 days because that's how long it took. They actually said X amount of days because they didn't actually write the amount of days that you have to wait. So I was like, okay, that's not good. I essentially looked over the thing, and I just, like, after I said it was missing, right, I was like, actually, you know what, I'm just gonna say that the box didn't come, because it did not come, right? I think I didn't actually say missing. I think the first time I made the report, I was like, oh, it's lost, like, or I don't, like, it's shipping late. And it was like, well, we need to give it, like, it's full time. And I was like, no, the other 2 boxes came. This one didn't. They all appeared at VO at the same time. So something happened. I don't, like, it's not, like, I don't understand why you're making me wait to essentially, like, you're making me wait just so that I can know that it's missing. Like, it doesn't even have an address on it in the VO thing. So I was like, I don't know, this is really weird. So then I go back and forth with Misfit and VO, and I eventually find out that the package was damaged. And so they weren't going to give it to me at all. And I was like, so instead of telling me outright that it was damaged, and instead of finding out that information that it was damaged, instead you decided that you were going to essentially almost like, what, wait it out or something? You tell me, oh man, we're gonna bring your package the next day or the next day. And instead of, like, you know, giving me my package to Fetch so Fetch can bring it to me, you're like, oh, actually, no, we're gonna give you your package. Eventually, it'll happen. Instead of saying, it was destroyed in shipping. It got damaged in shipping, so we can't give it to you. And so then I was like, that's stupid. That's terrible. Why would you do that? But I am a person of giving people chances, okay? If there is a cardinal sin of mine, it is giving people the benefit of the doubt. So I gave the benefit of the doubt to Misfit, and I was like, I'll just do it, I'll do it for a full, until the end of May, and then I'll decide. And right? I was like, obviously there's nothing super, super bad that could happen. And in hindsight, I'm like, I probably should have stopped there. But I was very optimistic because I was like, I love the produce I did get, which is honestly a shame because when I did get the packages, it wasn't that bad. So I was like, okay, this is fine. In my fortress of fire, this is fine. So then this last package, quote unquote package, happened. And this is when we got a refund for the last box, and we used it to buy our next box. So then we got all of the items that we would love to get so that we could eat them, because that's what you do when you get fruits and vegetables and groceries is you eat them. And we were planning to do a big food thing with them. So riddle me how I go to do this food thing. We're putting this together. We wait on the package. It's now the package day, and they're like, VO. Actually, let me also add, I decided to actually send it to my address because I was like, maybe it's having a hard time with fetch. Maybe. And they say to send it to your address. So what I did is I gave it to the address. I put the address on there. And then I gave them on the instructions the same instructions that I give Uber or any meal delivery service. And I was like, okay, this really should be enough. So the day comes, we're waiting for our package, and then they're like, oh, it's gonna come early in the morning. I'm like, perfect. And we're waiting and waiting. We go do a thing, and we're waiting and continuously waiting. And then after that, I look to be like, okay, what's happening? And it's like, delivery failed. I was like, okay, what do you mean delivery failed? So I once again go on the VO app. I'm like, hey guys, what happened? Why do I not have my packages right now? And they're like, oh, well, the delivery failed, so we're gonna try again later in the afternoon. Afternoon happens, they just, it didn't even say that it failed again. It's just like, oh, it's not here. We're still, something happened. I'm once again at this crossroads where I'm like, why did you even say that you could do it directly to the apartment building if you can't? You specifically saying, oh, skip having the apartment service and just use VO. So I, once again, I'm like, okay, how about this? I'm going to just do the little waiting game because I know that they'll ask me to wait. So I wait until the next day. I am still contacting VO, but I do wait until the next day. No signs that it's coming. So then I'm like, hey, what's happened? And they give me oh man, well, it failed to get to you because of the delivery failed. So we're gonna try again or something. And I'm like, I don't, at this point, it was a full day, almost getting to the next day. I was like, I don't even think the package would, I don't even think it would make sense for me to have the package anymore because it's probably have perished. Or at least by the time it gets to me, it'll have perished. So I'm like, okay, this is not helpful from VO. Let me go to Misfit. So I go to Misfit and I'm like, my package is missing because it is. It's actively not with me. It is not here. So then I'm like, hey guys, this package is not here. Please give me my food. And this time around, I was I was not having it. So I was like, give me my food or I want my refund. And at first, they responded with, "Oh man, well our way of packaging is built to last, so we could wait a little bit longer, and then we'll see, but right now you could get like a $10 discount on your next box." And there was something about that made me be like, nah, I'm not doing this. So I immediately do like a dispute of the charge, because I've now talked to Misfit and Vio, and they're both like, well, it's like, what? Let's wait. And I'm like, no, these items are perishable. I'm not gonna wait for perishable items, you know? And so I did the credit charge thing, and I was like, all right, I'm washing my hands of this. I stopped doing the boxes. I changed the card even, so that if they did try to charge me for another box, like if I stopped doing their thing incorrectly, like their subscription-y thing incorrectly, then I'd just like, it would charge a card that has like just enough money to not be empty, but enough money to like, you know, not be charged, because it would be declined. So, I was like, okay, I don't understand why, like, I literally was like, I really liked their service too, and I just got so upset, because I was like, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Like, and the thing is that there's some good parts of it, it's just that the parts that are bad are so bad that I would not recommend someone use this service. And I remember, because I was feeling very upset, I went on Reddit to see like how everyone else thought about it, and other people had also mentioned the idea that it was good at one point and then it got worse. For Misfit Market in particular, got worse. Misfit Market is also part of Imperfect Foods, so not only did I look at the Reddit for Misfit Market, but I also ended up looking at the Reddit for Imperfect Foods, and they were even like, yep, it's worse. It's even worse. And I just like, I can't imagine it being bad like that. So then I was like, okay, all right. This was just me being too optimistic, you know? And so that's Misfit. Would I recommend? No, don't use Misfit Market. Like, I just think that it is not worth it at that point. Yeah. So, now that I'm done talking about that, let me talk about things that I do really, really enjoy. I enjoy my Flexi Spot desk. I like, obviously I'm not sponsored. Look at my channel. Just look at it. But I really like my Flexi Spot desk, okay? I am a plant, and I like to stand and then sit and then stand and then sit. And there's something about being able to continuously just do what I want to do, whether it's doing an art piece, but I don't want to be sitting anymore, or doing some of my classwork, but I don't want to be standing anymore or something, where it's like nice because I have the option to stretch my legs out without like having to fully pull away from doing the thing I want to do. So I was like, yeah, this is great. A very good purchase on my end. Because it's just like, it survived moving. It is a really good lad, and I would recommend the Flexi Spot desk. Anyhow, another thing that, I don't know, I just wanted to like tag at the end of this, is the idea that I do have like grad school classes, and I take grad school classes. And I think that it's really interesting that I go from like, I'm gonna do grad school, and then I go into like my grad school vibe, and then I'm like, oh, and I am also doing art, and I go into my art vibe. But I have to have the both of them. I cannot have just doing research and grad school, and I also can't just have art. I work so poorly when I try to pivot into just doing one thing. I have to have that balance of, I do my art, my love, and then I do my research and knowledge endeavors as well. And so there's a little part of me that's like, I have this really big duality that I feel like could be interesting. So I don't know. If you want to know more about that, please let me know. If anything, I have already gotten my PhD in yapology, so I can yap. I can yap real hard. And also like make it very friendly, and I'll just talk about all the fun things I learned because I love doing that. I love talking about what I learn, and if I could just keep it very casual, I would love to do that. So let me know. Follow me on Ko-Fi if you want to get some monthly goodies. I have a postcard that I'm going to send out at the end of the month for those who are part of the monthly tier. And if you go to the higher monthly tier of Baby Bean, then you're able to get an artist trading card, which the video for me making those cards will probably come out either next week or the week after. And follow me on Instagram if you want to vibe. And then, I don't know, subscribe if you want to hear me yap. I'm also planning on making a vlog because guess what? Update, I got a new camera. I got a good camera. So I could talk about that too. I have a lot of things that I could talk about, but I don't know. I love yapping. All right, bye.